I'm almost done. They said we don't have a hook, but we have a light, a bright, shining light. And when the time comes, it will blink in your face. A few years ago, Ann will remember this, John, it was before your time, we put together a caravan. This was 13 years ago. We put together a caravan, and we put all of those things that represent the best in osteopathic medicine on this caravan, and we traversed the United States. We went into every state carrying the message of osteopathic medicine. What we do, what we are, who we are, what our training is, so people will come to recognize us for who we are and what we are and what we do. That distinctiveness that made us osteopathic physicians. Well, we took that caravan to the nation's capital, where we camped on the Capitol Mall. You know, I can never forget what I saw at that moment, because from the Capitol Mall, across the reflection pool stood the Lincoln Memorial. We were in the shadow of the Washington Monument. I reflected back on that day in 1963 when Martin Luther King Jr. stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and proclaimed to the world, "I have a dream, I have a dream." And his dream was that one day we will live together as brothers, and men and women will not be judged by the color of their skin, but rather by the texture of their character. I could never forget that day. Well, I thought, Andrew Taylor Steele could not be here today, but I had been called on to represent him. And Andrew Taylor Steele had a dream. He had a vision of this day, a day that I could not see, but he saw back in 1874. A day when there would be another group of physicians that cared more about the patient than they cared about the diseases that they brought into the office with their $5 bills. The day when he would raise up another group of physicians and teach them how to touch and to feel and to have empathy and to have compassion. He could not deliver that message, but I delivered it for him. And on that day, we made a promise. We made a promise to the thousands of osteopathic physicians that had gone on before us and had built this profession. And we made a promise to the millions of people that we had been privileged to care for, the people that had entrusted their lives and the lives of their loved ones into our hands. We made a promise to them. And we made a promise to the students, the next generation of aspiring osteopathic physicians. We made a promise to them that one day into the future, we will be bigger, we'll be better, and we'll be there for you. Well, today, we have come to begin to keep that promise. They said it couldn't be done. They said it couldn't be done. You are doing it today. You are demonstrating that commitment. You're demonstrating that dedication. You're indicating that you do, in fact, care about this nation. You care about our patients. You care about each other. This, and I'm going to sit down. I told Marty that I perhaps would change my thoughts at the last moment. When I came in here today, I passed an old friend, Andy Lovey, psychiatrist. Some of you have read about an incident that occurred on the 19th of this month, 1 year ago, near Kirksville, Missouri, where a plane went down carrying 15 osteopathic physicians, osteopathic educators, and supporters. 13 perished in that crash. There were two survivors. I was scheduled to be on that plane. The day before I was to leave, I canceled. I cannot tell you why. Perhaps Frank said, well, you know, don't take him now, Lord. I need him to be the keynote speaker. I don't know. But I did not take that flight. But last week when we were at one of the annual forums, Susan Sevensma was there, we heard from John Crow, who was one of two survivors of that crash, one of two. The Kirksville College of Osteopathic Medicine, I believe Jim McGovern and Renee are here, and I want to thank you for giving them the opportunity to do this. They had a compassionate celebration, a compassionate celebration. And I said, John, what does that mean? He said, you know, it was a horrendous experience to be in a plane crash and to hear your friends and colleagues screaming as they were being engulfed with the flames, and I was in pain. I had a broken hip, I had fractured ribs, I had a concussion. And he says, that was all horrible. But the thing that I remember the most is they took me to the Kirksville College Osteopathic Hospital. And he says, each of the doctors, many of whom I had taught, he was an anatomist, not a physician, many of them I had taught, he said, came by to see me. But I was in a state of depression. I was depressed because of the friends and colleagues that I had lost. But then Andy Lovey, osteopathic psychiatrist, came to see me. He brought me something that no other physician in the world could have brought me. He brought me peace, because he treated me not with fancy drugs, not with the latest therapeutic measures. He treated me with compassion. Does that make me proud to be an osteopathic physician? That an anatomist, having been through the most horrendous experience he could possibly go through, only remembers I got compassionate care from an osteopathic physician. People, the future is here. The future is now. The future is in the Orlando Convention Center. Thank you very much.